All right, how are we looking? Looking good. Okay, are we sounding? Are we sounding good? Sounding a bit hoarse. Got a bit of a cold going on, but just means you get to hear me sounding all bluesy, grungy. Enjoy. How's it going, everyone? David from dodmedia. Today we're going to be having a look at Freewell's Glow Mist Filters and what they can do to de-digitize your footage and make it look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Now, Freewell have sent me these as samples to play with, but I've not been paid to say any of this, and these opinions are all my own. Now, there are a number of these mist filter options out there. I'm pretty sure that like a year ago, it was pretty much just Tiffin's Pro Mist Filters. And in the last year, we've seen Polar Pro come out with their own Peter McKinnon Mist Variable. We've seen Freewell come out with their mist filters and a whole range of other ones. And they all vary in the aesthetic that they produce. I happen to really like the one that Freewell produces. And essentially, these filters work by creating a halation, which is a diffusion of bright spots in your image. So they are coated with a very fine particle, which you can't see to the naked eye, but when you place that in front of a bright light, it creates a kind of a halo glow around that bright object, which means that if you have bright light on your skin, it will diffuse that light on your skin a little bit, giving you a nicer, softer, more even light across your skin. And as you can see with this light behind me, it's giving that nice colored glow around it instead of a digital, sharp as hell, contrast as hell, with no ambience, with no kind of, no soul. And so the result of using these will be that you'll get a nicer, softer fall off of light, a slightly softer contrast in your image, but just a much more aesthetically pleasing image overall. Now, these Freewell filters are particularly interesting for me because they use a magnetic approach. And so in the box, you get a magnetic mounting ring, which is literally just a bangle, if you want it to be. You thread this on to your lens. Now, I've opted for the biggest thread size because I'm starting to get bigger lenses. I typically had 67mm diameter lenses before, and so I bought a load of ND filters that were 67, and now I'm finding that I'm getting bigger lenses, and I've just decided to go for the biggest thread I can find and then use step-up rings if I need to, like I'm currently doing on the 35mm by Sigma, which is a 67mm. But it's got an 82mm Freewell filter on it, just using a few step-up rings. So, back to this. We've got the bangle, then we have the filter itself, and get back to what just happened there in a second. We've got the filter itself, which is just a piece of glass. And once you've threaded this on to your lens, that just clips on magnetically. You don't have to spend time trying to figure it out. So once you've done that initial mounting of the, let's call it the filter holder, you can just literally pop this on and off easily magnetically. That is a beautiful, beautiful thing to have. But as I just showed you, removing the lens cap that comes with it from the filter part, not so easy, because I'm assuming because this whole lens cap is metal and the way that the magnets are polarized, it is way harder to separate the glass from the filter than it is from the holder. So you just end up pulling away, most of the time you end up pulling away the glass with the filter when you take it off, which makes me just not want to use the filter in the first place, because otherwise I end up putting fingerprints on the glass trying to separate them. Not a great design there. The magnets are just too strong facing the cap. It would have been better to have these a little bit softer, because that's not going to come off in your bag. So yeah, I have to kind of pry my nails between them to get them apart. Now, in terms of options available, there's a 1/4 strength, this one here, and an 1/8 strength, which is the one that's currently mounted on the lens right now. And so these will give you different degrees of diffusion. So let's have a little look at what these filters actually do. So here we are without any diffusion whatsoever on the lens, and you can see this light that's behind me. I mean, it's pointing straight down the lens, and you're getting a little bit of haloing around it, which is just the natural diffusion of the light as it's bursting out. However, it's not a huge amount compared to what you were just seeing. Then let's put on the 1/8 that you were just looking at there. Click. Lovely stuff. Now you can see that is a considerable difference in terms of the amount of diffusion that you're seeing in that light behind. Also, if you look at my skin right now, at my face, if I punch in on this so that you're lucky enough to get a nice close-up of my face, you can see the difference between those two. It's subtle, but it's just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing on the diffused light version. And now if I take off the 1/8 and pop on the 1/4. All right, now we've got some crazy blooming, and you'll notice there's also a little bit of a light streak. Hang on, where are we going? That direction. There's a bit of a light streak coming along there on the monitor that I can see. I don't know if this is to do with the fact that I'm using step-up rings, so the filter is further away from that front element than it otherwise would be if it was mounted directly onto the filter threads of the lens. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, I don't find it particularly displeasing, and it's not often that you have a light pointing straight down the lens, and when you do, you are more often than not looking for some kind of light dynamic, some kind of light element like this to actually affect your sensor. So I quite like it. You can see it's nice. It's subtle. It's not completely overpowering. It looks natural. It doesn't look like an effect that I've put on there. And then, just for the sake of being completely crazy, let's go ahead and put the 1/8 filter onto the 1/4 filter. Because they're magnetic, you can collapse them and mount them as much as you want. You can combine ND filters, variable ND filters, mist filters. You can combine variable ND mist filters with ND filters. It's really all up to you because of this magnetic system, which is one of the reasons why I really like this system. So let's go ahead and pop this one on as well and see if this is just completely unusable. Okay, it's not actually so bad. It's not as big a difference as I was expecting. Still, that's quite good if I just do a bit of rocking back and forth there. Yeah. Now obviously this is a studio setup. This is controlled lighting, and it's not nearly as bright as you would have outside. And harsh sunlight would certainly affect this very, very differently. Unfortunately, it's a very overcast day, so or month or year, I should say. So I've not really had an opportunity to shoot with these in harsh sunlight. But to be honest, if I were to be shooting in harsh sunlight, I'd probably be aiming to flag the talent anyway to diffuse them so that they're not hit by harsh sunlight, unless that was really the theme of that narrative. So in that sense, I'm not too worried about it, but I'm going to show you what this looks like outside now, just so you can get a sense of what the outdoors gives it. But do bear in mind that the great softbox in the sky is going to give me a very nice diffusion, so it's probably going to be quite similar to here. So, there you go. This was the Freewell Glow Mist Filter selection, which is awesome. I'm really happy to recommend these. I haven't used Polar Pro's Peter McKinnon Edition Pro Mist thing because it's more than twice the price of these. I haven't used Tiffin's ones because practicality-wise, having to screw in the filters, I just really want to move away from that now that there is this option to use magnets instead. I just don't see why I would go back to the screw-in filter system, considering that image quality, that there's no compromise there. I'm not having to reduce image quality to use these because Freewell's image quality is fantastic. So that is why I'm very happy to recommend Freewell. And if you would like to get these, there's a link in the description below, which is an affiliate link, which will give a percentage of the sale to me without charging you anything extra, so I can continue to make these wonderful videos for you with this lovely hoarse, bluesy voice of mine that I have right now. All right. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. I'll see you next time.